Am I the asshole for refusing to take my sister's kids to school after they've been bullying my son? A bit of background. My sister, Sarah, and her two kids, Jake 14M and Mia 12F, recently moved in with us after Sarah went through a rough divorce. She's been staying with us for about 6 months now, and we've tried to be as accommodating as possible. My wife, Laura, and I have one son, Ethan, 13M. At first, everything was fine, and the kids got along okay. Over the last few months, however, Jake and Mia have been making Ethan's life miserable. They've been teasing him constantly, calling him names, and even going through his things when we're not around. It's been especially bad for Ethan because he's more introverted and quiet. He's come to us multiple times, upset about things they've said or done, and I've tried addressing it with Sarah. Her response has been pretty dismissive, saying, "It's just normal sibling stuff. They'll grow out of it." The tipping point came last week when Ethan told me that Jake had taken his school project, something he'd spent days working on, and ruined it by drawing all over it. Ethan was in tears. When I confronted Jake, he laughed it off like it was a joke. Sarah didn't seem to think it was a big deal and said Ethan was being too sensitive. Laura was furious but tried to stay calm. I finally had enough and told Sarah that if she couldn't keep her kids in check, I wasn't going to keep doing favors like driving them to school every day. I've been taking all the kids to school since Sarah moved in because her car broke down and she hasn't been able to get it fixed. It's about a 20-minute detour for me, and I was happy to do it at first, but after all this, I told her it was too much, and she needed to figure it out on her own. Now, Sarah is upset, saying I'm punishing her and her kids over something small, and it's not fair for me to leave her stranded. She even went as far as to say I was being petty and holding a grudge against the kids. She thinks I'm overreacting and should just let it go for the sake of family harmony. My wife is 100% on my side and thinks Sarah's kids have been out of line for months. But now Sarah's giving me the cold shoulder and telling other family members that I'm being unreasonable. So, am I the asshole for refusing to drive them to school anymore? Overall, not the asshole, but you only stated that you wouldn't drive them to school? Why the hell haven't you kicked them out? They are bullying your son. By ruining his school project, they are messing with his grades. What if that project is the difference between a pass and a fail? They are bullying him in his own home. Kick them out, and anyone who tells you you're being horrible and unfair, ask them when are they taking her in then? I think you are the asshole because you're imposing a penalty that doesn't do anything and doesn't mean anything. Refusing to drive her kids while they still live in the house is going to amp up hostilities. You need to tell Sarah that she has 1 week to get out. The end. You are the asshole, not for refusing to take the kids to school, but for letting your sister and the children remain in your home, in Ethan's home, allowing them to torment him in a place he should feel safe. It's ultimatum time. Either your sister starts taking Ethan's feelings seriously and gets her kids under control, or she needs to find somewhere else to live. They've outstayed their welcome. Good thing is there are other family members who are happy to support them. Get boxes 'cause they're packing. You're not the asshole because you've been more than accommodating by allowing Sarah and her kids to live with you and driving them to school for months. The issue isn't about a small favor, it's about the constant bullying your son, Ethan, has endured. Sarah's kids have repeatedly disrespected him, and despite addressing it with her, she dismissed their behavior as normal. When Jake ruined Ethan's school project, Sarah downplayed it again, showing no regard for your son's feelings. Refusing to drive them to school is a reasonable boundary after Sarah's refusal to take responsibility for her kids' actions. You're protecting your son and setting limits, which is completely justified. Not the asshole I would have kicked her out after this bullshit. She needs to discipline and curb her kids. For the sake of family harmony, what bullshit I would have rubbed her nose in that one. Family harmony? There is none since you won't discipline your kids for doing shitty things. Am I the asshole for throwing out my kids' food? When I was a child, my mother had no concept of what is healthy food. If it said diet on the box, it was okay. She would serve me cereal for breakfast. Dinners was often processed ready-to-eat junk or McDonald's. After school snacks was cookies and Little Debbie. My mom is obese and I was almost 300 pounds when I graduated high school. It was only after I moved out that I realized how unhealthy I was, and it took me years to lose that childhood weight and establish good eating habits. My wife has always had them and was brought up by a family that didn't trust processed foods. My family and I now follow a whole food diet for ourselves. My mom had a heart attack and is almost 400 pounds. This is her third heart attack and she wasn't able to make rent, so now she is living with me and recovering at my home. She has been to a nutritionist multiple times for her weight and acts like she is too stupid to understand what they are saying, or acts like no one really eats like that, or the doctors and nurses are bullying her because of her weight. She has been ordering junk food and takeout on apps like Instacart and Uber Eats. She has been feeding my kids the same junk food. Even after I have told her to stop. I hear the Ring camera go off and my youngest child gets my mom's latest McDonald's order. My mom got both of my kids a Happy Meal. This was the third time she has done this week. I took my kids' Happy Meal and tossed them in the trash and poured cleaner on top of them. I told my mom if wants to eat herself to death that's okay with me, but do not kill my children like you almost killed me as a child with this trash. Things got heated because my mom was crying saying she doesn't know any better and one Happy Meal will not hurt my children. I told her this is the third one this week and if she gives my children junk again she will find herself in a nursing home. My mom cried and cried saying I was mean to her and all the doctors do is bully her. She just wants to live her life. I told her she's not living her best life, she's eating herself to death. My mom called me a bully and told my children I was a bully and not to act like me in school. I told my mom I'm fed up with her and I'm looking at nursing homes later that week and I'm not having her bring this lifestyle into my home around my children. Absolutely not the asshole, your house, your kids, your rules. What was your kids' reaction to all this? In an age-appropriate way I'd be honest with them and explain why that food isn't healthy food and that yes maybe it can be a sometimes food, but if you eat sometimes food too much, you can get sick like grandma. I feel bad for how intentionally ignorant your mom is being and risking her relationship with her grandkids for McDonald's. It sounds like she has some mental disorder that's causing her to blame literally everyone and everything else for her problems and never takes responsibility. I'd keep on the track of getting her in a home because I wouldn't want that attitude rubbing off on my kids. Info. Did you at least take out the toy before throwing them out? Everyone sucks here in this situation. Your mother is wrong for ignoring your boundaries and feeding your children junk food despite your repeated requests to stop, and for not taking responsibility for her unhealthy lifestyle choices. However, your response of throwing away the food and pouring cleaning product on it was excessive and not a productive way to address the issue. It's perfectly within your rights to not have your kids eat junk all the time. But I think both you and your mom have issues with food and you probably both need therapy to address this and manage it. Not the asshole, and I think you do need to find an alternative place for your mom to live now. You will not be able to stop her from feeding her junk to your kids and she's doubly crossed the line by telling your kids that you are a bully. Even if she doesn't feed them directly they will want it, sneak it, and are having her behavior modeled for them. However, I do need to ask if you ever allow your kids to have junk food. I agree it's an occasional treat, but if you never allow them to have it they could develop an unhealthy relationship with food which could cause them to binge when they get older or undereat. I'll say not the asshole. But in the unsolicited advice section I hope you're limiting as much of this argument around your kids as you can. I realize your mom is not, and she's weaponizing them, telling them not to act like me. I also hope you're having to talk with your kids and unpacking this as much as you can. Not sure how old they are, but since they're Happy Meal age, this can be pretty difficult. That end, it does feel a little bit like your kids are getting punished unintentionally with grandma dangling this fun thing and you take it away. I also understand this is your mom's fault, but kids are getting kinda caught in the crossfire. I mean, at least save off the Happy Meal toys for them. Am I the asshole for telling my father that it was his fault he missed my son's first birthday party? My son turned 1 this past weekend. On Sunday, my husband and I threw a birthday party for him at a local kids venue. We confirmed the date with both the venue and our guests a few months ago. One of those guests was my father. Back when I informed him of the date, he told me he'd come. A few days before the party, he asked if there was any way for me to reschedule it. I said no, as we'd already confirmed everything with the venue. My father then told me he'd be late to the party because there was an event at his girlfriend's church on the same day, and she wanted him to attend. I should say that my immediate family, including my father, is technically Catholic, but none of us practice it. However, my father's girlfriend is very religious. Like, Jesus is her phone wallpaper religious. Since they started dating, a little over a year ago, my father has been attending church with her on a semi-regular basis. He has explicitly told me he doesn't like it, but does it to make her happy. I told my father I was fine with him being late, as long as he came to the party at some point. He said he'd show up as soon as the church event was done. A few hours before the party ended, my father texted me the event was still going, and he thought it would be in poor taste for him to leave early, so he probably wouldn't be able to come. I didn't hear from him again that day. On Monday, my father called me to explain that the event went on for longer than he expected. He didn't apologize, but asked if I was angry at him, and I said yes. He said he had no way of knowing the event would last as long as it did, but that's not what I'm upset about. I told him he still chose to prioritize an event he didn't even want to attend over his grandson's first birthday party, made several other choices that led him to completely miss the latter, and didn't inform me about any of that until the last minute. All of those decisions were his, so the fact he ultimately didn't come to the party was his fault. My father is still refusing to apologize, and insists I have no right to be angry over something he had no control over. I'm starting to feel odd about this. My husband is on my side, but my sister told me I'm being dramatic. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. He made his choice, asked if you were upset, was told, yes, you were, to which he said, well, actually I was expecting you to placate my feelings about missing the party and prioritizing my girlfriend, who is an adult, over my grandson. Don't. You seriously do not need to soothe his feelings. Say to him clearly once more, I'm upset you chose to miss the party. Why you missed it is beside the point. It's not like you were in the with a ruptured spleen after a massive car wreck. You were with your GF. Period. He doesn't get a free pass on your feelings just because he values his own comfort over yours. Not the asshole. He prioritized another event over his grandson's party. He prioritized his girlfriend's church's event over his grandson's party. He absolutely had control over it. Jesus is her phone wallpaper religious. Also, this is killing me lol. Not the asshole. Your father is an adult, and he made a choice to attend a different event. He asked if you were upset, and you answered him honestly. He chose his girlfriend over his grandchild. It's understandable to be disappointed in him and upset that he made the choices he's made. It's very possible he'll do this again in the future. I do think hanging onto your anger only eats away at you, though. Doesn't seem to be bothering him all that much. Make peace with the fact that he's going to choose the girlfriend. Adulting sucks sometimes. Not the asshole. Your dad did have a way to know when the event was going to end. He could have asked. Not the asshole. It would be in poor taste to leave early. No, it wouldn't, unless he was giving a speech at the end or had an important role like organizing it. It would be very understandable to leave to see his grandchild for their birthday. If anyone at church judged him for it, then maybe they should reread the Bible and learn how to be less judgmental. Not the asshole. He is for following his girlfriend over his grandson and her for making him go to church over his grandson's party. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my inheritance with my half-sibling? I, 20F, recently received an inheritance from my late grandmother. She was very close to me and left me a significant amount of money, which has been life-changing, especially as I'm paying for my own college tuition. My half-sibling, 24F, from my dad's side found out about it and asked me to share, saying it's only fair since we're family. Here's the thing. She never had a relationship with my grandmother. They met maybe twice, and my grandmother never considered her part of the family since she came into the picture much later. Now, my half-sibling is telling everyone I'm being selfish, and my dad's family is pressuring me to do the right thing. I feel torn because it's a lot of money, and I can see how it could help her too, but I also feel like this was left to me for a reason. Am I the asshole for wanting to keep my inheritance? Estates, inheritances have nothing to do with fairness. Your grandmother drew up a legal contract, and if she had wanted your half-sibling to get money, she would have put it in writing. You are under zero obligation to share it with her. You are absolutely, positively not the asshole in this situation. Your half-sibling, however, is acting like an asshole by trying to pester you for money that does not belong to them and for trying to turn family against you. My dad's family is pressuring me to do the right thing. They can give her some of their money. Wills are written for a reason. Your grandma wanted the money to go to you, not you and your half-sibling. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm sorry for your loss, but your grandma left you that money. She could have left some to your half-sibling but chose not to. If it's a lot of money, I can understand why your half-sister wants some, but that's tough. I think it's great that your grandmother's gift is going to help you graduate without having to get a student loan. That's going to put you significant other far ahead financially when you graduate. When your grandmother wrote her will, she made her decisions on where her money would go. Don't disrespect her choice. When someone asks, why won't you share with step-sis? You're being mean, unfair, etc., etc. Just say, no thanks. Grandma left it to me for her reasons. Now, be aware, people are going to consider you a money faucet. Op, I can't pay rent this month. Op, I can't pay my meds. Do you want me to be sick? Op, the kids need clothes for school. You're going to have to deal with this ASAP. Get a financial advisor and get some excuses ready. Get a fee-only fiduciary advisor, don't do annuities, and invest, make an emergency fund and pay off your loans. Not the asshole, and good luck. Not the asshole. She's your grandmother and your blood relative. As far as your half-sibling is concerned, this money could be from the lottery or a bank robbery. Share what you feel comfortable with, even nothing. But you're not obligated for anything. Not the asshole. She is just jealous and wants money. Your grandmother chose to leave it to you. Keep it all for yourself, just as she wanted.